Stallings Town Council meeting. Let's begin with a invocation. Stephen, would you lead us, please?
Absolutely. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of your Son's holy name, Jesus Christ. Just ask that tonight, as we do the business of the town, that you give us the knowledge and wisdom to listen and to make good choices. I also wanted to say thank you to everybody who is really turning out to, just help the state overall, the outpouring of our community. We hope that you continue to keep Western Carolina in your grasp and take care of those folks and lead them through the troubled time that they're seeing out there. And in all these things, amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance.
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, I'll call this meeting to order. Our mayor, Wyatt, is in Atlanta. Graham's got a house full of sick family members. Taylor Ray will be along in about 30 minutes, she said, and we do have a quorum. So I will lead off. Any public comments? Nobody signed up? Anybody in the audience forget to sign up and want to speak? We have a consent agenda.
Didn't he say?
Later.
I'm just giving him a hard time.
We tolerate them.
Barely.
Consent agenda. How does the council move?
Of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, reports. Report from the mayor, obviously not here. Council members, we'll start down here.
I have no report.
All right. I will tell you that many of you might have noticed that Bank of America had some issues, so I wasn't able to go to WUMA. So with that, I don't have a report either.
All right. The North Carolina League of Municipalities had a legislative listening agenda, or listening meeting for this region up at the Speedway a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. I went to that. Then they had, I'm on the League of Municipalities committee for forming the legislative policy of the league. We had a meeting for that last Wednesday and another one tomorrow. Central Ina had their annual celebration of fall of the excellence in municipal governments for the this past year, and the chair was unable to make it, so as the vice chair I got to MC and present all the awards, and it was a great, it's up at Kannapolis. If you've never been to Kannapolis, go check it out for revitalization. Wow, it's amazing. And a third one, I'll leave it to Brad because he was there and he may not have much else to add other than that.
What's it?
Heard from you yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give a report. The council has an economic development committee, meets once a month. We had a meeting from October that had three things on the agenda. One was Union West Business Park, and some infrastructure challenges and the beginning of a plan to provide a funding solution for road improvements. I'll leave it at that. There's more to it. The next meeting will be in November. We also talked to our agents of record who are working on our behalf to lease the building that we purchased next door. What was the name of the building? It was a tractor dealership at one point, then it became something else.
The river.
James River Equipment, that's what it was, yeah. So we own that now. We're soliciting, working toward a lease with a retail concept, a brewery that would provide some outdoor entertainment and activity. So we reviewed the terms of a lease that we'll be presenting to the potential tenant later this year. Again, a final lease we'll have probably toward the November or December meeting. Third item on the agenda was a transit overlay district presentation that Bolton and Mink, our consultants, did to talk about hospital district, around by the hospital, council directed and soon will be council considered approval for a land overlay district for transit-oriented development. That was a very beefy and long economic development committee agenda that we'll do
Hello,
later. Hi.
Hi.
David. This is a council meeting. Yes. Oh.
Nope.
Max has got you there.
I will have another report. Thank you for giving me that assignment. Tomorrow night, I'll be attending the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization meeting. There's a very important vote tomorrow night that may receive some press attention. I will give you a highlight of it. Under review for a long time is whether or not to ask the State Department of Transportation to begin to develop a request for proposals for a managed lanes delivery of I-77 south from the interstate, from uptown all the way to the state line. It's a very expensive project, $4.2 billion of infrastructure work to be done. We've talked about this slightly before, or a little bit before. The town, as a voting member in the CARTPO is what it's called, CRTPO, will be voting to ask the state to begin that development. There'll be another vote probably in the spring of the year on whether or not to issue the RFP. A lot of the debate is around whether managed lanes, which are the dynamic tolls that you'll see, couple lanes that are general purpose, a couple lanes that are managed with the higher frequency speeds. A lot of questions about inequity, cost, privatization. The reality, the fact of the matter is that the state's limit of public funding on any one corridor, which is limited to $600,000 per year on average, is woefully insufficient to ever fund that project absent a public-private partnership. The one up north was very contentious. You may remember this. It was the first time we had a managed lanes introduced in our community. The public outcry was really based upon a 50-year lease with a private company, the only bidder for the project back in that time frame. Some solace we'll get this time is that there are a lot more companies that will be competing for this, we're told. But in effect, I'll be casting our vote in favor of NCDOT beginning the development of an RFP, knowing that we'll talk about it before they issue it in the spring. I hope that helps, but it's you might see some news about that tomorrow night or the next day.
Who is the chair and the vice chair now?
I'm the vice chair of CARTPO, and then Lisa Qualls, the commissioner from Mooresville, is the chair.
Thank you. Reports now from the town manager, Alex, and his staff departments.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Scholl. 3 items today. First, you may have noticed as everyone came in, the boxes and boxes and piles of donations, tremendous outpouring community. Sometimes when something horrific like this happens, sometimes it brings out the best in our nature and gives us hope for the future. Credit to everyone in the community who's brought in donations, and our town staff have helped facilitate that, and especially our police department. Secondly, at your seat, you'll have the budget line item transfers. In the spirit of transparency, we like to show all the intra-department transfers that we do each month. If you have any questions, please let us know. Those tend to be more routine, and certainly anything intra-department or intra-fund or anything that wasn't budgeted, we will come before the board and ask for your approval. And then finally, at our last council meeting, the board tasks myself as well as Ms. Cox, our town attorney, with negotiating a settlement regarding 3730 Birchdale Court. And thanks to Ms. Cox, we've been able to reach a settlement of $6,001, which is agreeable to all sides. And that will be payable over a 24-month period. That concludes the staff report. Thank you.
Good job.
Very much. Any department heads? All right. All right, now we're looking for the agenda approval, and I'm going to add, I'd like to add an item, tax collection, where we are authorizing and empower and command to Union County Tax Administrator to collect the taxes as set forth in 2024 tax records. To add that to the agenda, and then we'll take a vote on that.
So I'll move approval of the addition of that item as maybe 5A is the best place to put it right after Mr. Darrell's presentation. You okay with that?
No, fairly quick, so they can get out of here. And 5A,
I'll second with the addition of 5A.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Union County Public Schools bonds presentation, you're up. And get longer than 2 minutes.
Well, you're a realist.
2 minutes and 45?
Come on, Stephen, cut him some slack.
Schools, I know your agenda says Sandra Green, but she was sick today, so I'm the fill. On the November election, you will find on the ballot a bond for Union County Public Schools of some $39 million. Two projects. The first project is to complete the work at our Forest Hills Cluster. We are 2 years ago, the public passed a bond, and we're halfway under construction for a new Forest Hills High School. Second part of the bond is pre-construction costs, permitting, land improvements, design, et cetera, for a new Parkwood High School. And this will be a unique endeavor for us. It will be the first three-story high school UCPS has built in its history. Why 3 stories, you ask? That's because the land area that we have for construction, we hope to do the same thing that we're doing at Forest Hills, to repurpose the old Parkwood High for a new middle school, and across the street to take the middle school and eventually develop it into a new being able to repurpose old buildings into another middle school to save the taxpayers $80 to $100 million versus flattening the whole thing and building a new high school on the same property. So those 2 items are on the ballot in November. And if you down 74 towards Wingate, Marshville area, you will see the construction of the new Forest Hills. And the other item on the bond 2 years ago was a new East Elementary School, which is in Monroe, just off Franklin. So that's the gist of my presentation, and I welcome your questions.
Anybody?
My brain's slipping in a little bit. Parkwood High, where is Parkwood located?
Where is Parkwood?
Yes.
It's down Highway 75,
Rough
Mineral
Edge.
Springs area.
Huh?
Near Rough Edge.
Cane Creek Park.
It is Rough Edge, basically.
Where that is?
I just said, yeah, I know you don't. know Rough Edge.
75, I mean.
Then get out.
75 like you're headed towards Lancaster.
Okay, Stephen,
Oh,
it's in the southern part of the county.
Yeah, okay.
That's all you need.
It's out in the country, Rough Edge,
Yeah.
where they built a new roundabout. And there's a high school on, when you pull off on Parkwood School Road, off the roundabout, there's a high school on your right and middle school on your left.
Okay. I mean, that
It's okay.
what David
He-
said, I got it. It's out where I normally don't tread.
That way.
He probably has never been there in his life, in that general vicinity. But that's okay, Stephen. It's a big county. Believe me, I know. Any other questions? Thank you, Gary. Well, please, if you want to fill it with something, you know.
Jokes.
I'm sure you have better things to do. Well, I will add something else.
Oh,
This is not a school-related issue. I don't get up this way very much anymore because hospital, but on December 2nd, I will be sworn in as one of your county commissioners. And one of the things that I look forward to doing is strengthening our relationship with municipalities. I think that's important. We have 12 of them, and we need to do a better job of communicating and learning from each other. So that is one of the things that I hope to accomplish very shortly after.
Some of these folks may not realize you used to sit up here too.
Did. There's a picture on the wall. Of course, I didn't have Gray.
Here.
I was appointed to fill a vacancy in 2004. And here's a trivia for you. I was defeated for re-election by your mayor. You have me to blame for that. I look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate your support on another fine UCPS project.
Appreciate it, man.
Next up, Van Harold doing the Union County 2025 reappraisal presentation. Welcome.
So I can really do the under. Reappraisal values are changing. Because that's one thing. No. Attorney may want to leave. She's already heard it. I may hear it a couple more times.
Oh, she's already tuned out.
My name is Van Harold. I'm the tax administrator. I also serve as tax collector of the town of Stallings. Approximately 12 years. Satisfied with that, and we'll continue to do what we do. Biggest reason for us to be here tonight is the 2025 preliminary listening tour, questions about the process. We do not have valuation data in this presentation. We'll come back early next year. Meet all the municipalities again. 4 or 5 that I've been to in the last 3 or 4 weeks. With this process, we're going to go through the presentation. We're going to go through kind of our guiding policies, why we have to do this. Michael Thompson, he's been with us since June. We hired him out of Virginia. We've got 22 years of appraisal experience. We've had a couple of key retirements this year. My appraisal manager left. I'm expected to retire. What are our guiding principles, rules, and policies for reappraisal? Number 1 is the fair and equitable. We want every taxpayer to know they're being treated fairly and equitably for every other taxpayer in the county. We cannot play favorites. We do not play favorites. We have no vested interest in any part of the process other than doing a good and fair job. Almost all of my employees live in Union County, so we all have a stake in making sure the job is done as well as possible. North Carolina general statutes govern the process and the timelines. We touch on that more in a moment. The reappraisal cycle falls under the statutes, but the Moore County Commissioners back in 2021 moved us back Finally, industry standards and best practices, which is promulgated by the Department of Revenue and the International Association of Assessment Offices. They kind of do our standards for quality assurance and set those so that we can have guidelines within which to operate in the office. What is a reappraisal and why do we do it? It's just simply a systematic review of all real property in the county. Establish equity and fairness in the tax base. We want to make sure that every property owner is as close to market value as possible in the year of reappraisal. That's the statute dictates. So if we've got one group of properties that are 10% overassessed and another group is 15% underassessed, we got to close that gap to get back as close to 100% as we possibly can. Final thing is to avoid equalization. We've all been hit with that in the past. What that is public service companies like train companies, Spectrum, gas lines, power utility lines. They get assessed by the Department of Revenue. We don't do those locally. If those triggers on equalization measures are exceeded, either too low, if we're too low, or if we're too high, they get a significant discount in their property values. Our goal is to make sure that does not happen. It's not fair to every other taxpayer in the county. Time we have a reappraisal. Maximum allowed time period between reappraisals is 8 years. We have been on a variety of cycles due to economic conditions for the past 20 years. And when I came in 2004, we were on a 4-year cycle, so we did it. Prior to that, everything was 8 years. We did it 2004, 2008, and then we all know what happened after 2008. We were scheduled for 2012. The board opted not to do it. We ended up severely overassessed, which triggered a 7-year cycle. Fast forward past 2015, ended up on a 6-year cycle that we triggered again the other direction. We were the first. That is our claim to fame, is that we were the first county in the state to trigger either one of those statutes. And so, just for comparison, 2022, 26 counties triggered the reappraisal cycles to be completed in either 24 or 25 because of how fast the market moved across the state. So we fall into number 3. What is our timeline? January 2023, we submit our reappraisal plan to the Department of Revenue. We do everything in-house. There are a lot of counties, particularly smaller counties, that don't have the staff to do the job. They contract it out. It's a significant cost to the tune of $2 or $3 million. So we do it all in-house, and we feel like we get a better product that way. Fast forward to October 2024. Next Monday, we'll be presenting scheduled values for the reappraisal to the Board of County Commissioners. There'll be a public hearing on that schedule. November the 3rd, I believe, whatever the first Monday is in November, and then we'll have it up for adoption on November 18th. The effective date, the magic date of the whole process is January 1st, 2025. Starting in February, we'll come back and make the rounds to all municipalities and civic organizations with the results. Kind of show you locally what's going on in the county, where the values have fallen. Landed, let me change that word. And then we'll send out the assessment notices to all property owners in early March, late February. And then May 2025 would be our estimated deadline for end of May 2025. Would be the deadline for ending the property list. So what is the schedule of values? It's required to be adopted every reappraisal cycle. And that book, that schedule, is about 200 to 300 pages long. Governs everything we do in the next 4 years. We cannot deviate from a valuation perspective how a property is valued. For example, if you were to build a house today, we would be valuing that. You may pay for it, but we're going to value it as if it existed in 21, so it's probably going to be more like 280 or 320, somewhere in that range. So, and that's what I'm talking about. We have to catch up to the market. We have to establishes the rates and procedures, again, for the next 4 years. We build that schedule from all sales data that we collected over the last 4 years. It captures the value of the current real estate market. It's retrospective in nature. We are not projecting where value is going. We really can't stress this enough, as people think we're speculating. We're not speculating. We're using actual data to build these schedule values. So where's our market? What's the market conditions look like? If there's anybody in here involved in real estate, you know what a market looks like. Or if you've got to build or buy a house or sell a house in the last 4 years, you know you got an idea where we're at. So one of our key measures is our sales ratio. That plays into the equalization. So that's looking at the assessed value of a house that is sold and comparing it to the sales price. That's all it is. If it's assessed higher than it's sold for, then you know you're overassessed, and vice versa. At the end of the reappraisal in 2021, our sales ratio was 99.86%. 100% is perfect. We're never going to be perfect. We don't want to be perfect because that means we're doing things such as chasing sales and just moving numbers around to get us there. We don't want to do that. We actually build our value on actual sales. Our current median sales ratio is 65%. So it shows you how far the market has moved from where we're assessed at. Median selling price between January 1, 2023 and July 5th, 2024 is $480,000. Compare that to our median assessed value after the last reappraisal, which is $293,000. Again, just another measure to show you where the market has changed. Sales volume that we're building our schedule values on. Total property transactions in the last 3.5 years up through July this year, 30,000 sales. Of that, we excluded roughly 7,000 because they were what we deem as invalid sales, meaning they're not arm-length transactions, and things that go into that could be used to sell properties or family members. Something of that nature we have to exclude because it's generally not listed on the open market. It doesn't have that market exposure. Here's a look at a map of Stallings. One of the questions we often get is, how do you do this countywide? We divide county up into appraisal neighborhoods. And that's really just grouping properties by like properties, similar properties in the same area that have sold and kind of are very similar structure-wise and quality-wise. So in the county, we have 765 appraisal neighborhoods. It's just, as somebody said earlier, this is a big county. It really is. Neighborhood count in Stallings, we have 76 total. 68 of those are residential, and 8 of those are commercial. So each color represents a single appraisal neighborhood property. It may be a subdivision, it could be a group of subdivisions. I think just as an example, up the road here, Brandon Oaks, I think we've got 4 or 5 different appraisal neighborhoods within that subdivision. Obviously, homes and property structures in there.
Ben, the coloring was a way to differentiate it. This is not just a neighborhood.
Just a neighborhood.
Mean anything.
No, it doesn't mean anything. It's just territory. So overall current market overview. Property type, residential, we've already touched on that. Our commercial median sales price is $650,000. Industrial is just slightly over $1 million. The eye-popping number that's gotten everybody's attention to this point is the value of a median sales price of 1 acre of land throughout the county, $78,000. Another graph here just showing sales volume through July of this year. You can see sales numbers have been declining since 2021, but the prices have not. They've stabilized, and in some areas continue to go up, particularly on vacant land. Here's a look by municipality. And the county as a whole that's not in, it's county only, not within city limits. So if you want to scroll down here and look at Stallings, the sales volumes in January 1 of 23, we had 1,687 valid sales transactions within the town limits during that time. And that's a combination of residential, commercial, and industrial. Median sales price in Stallings is $426,500 during that same time period. See, we have a couple of communities where the median sales price is right around 1.3 million. So that's a first. So it's that was actually a conversation with Weddington last
That, right here.
Sounded like it came from behind.
Hello? I forgot what I was gonna say. Can you go back to that slide? The numbers that you had, is that residential, commercial, and industrial, and vacant?
No, this is residential.
Just residential, okay.
Fair though, in Weddington, the houses that they are selling mostly out there is newly constructed houses that are, like, the smallest lot is an acre.
So, back to the sales ratio by property type, residential again is 65.79%. Commercial is lower than that, 61.59, or industrial is 40.67. A lot of that is very low, so that's gonna take a huge increase to bring that classification up to market. But a lot of that is vacant land. So it's industrial classified because of zoning and what have you, but that's the reason that number is as low as it is.
Right way to say that in a sentence.
Yes and no, yes and no. So if you look at a property, a single property, let's using that statistic, let's say it's 35% under market. But to make up that 35%, if you divide that 35 by the current sales ratio, 50+% to get that 35% back. And so that's kind of the range, and this, I touch on that here. So with Stallings, there was an improvement. This is a 2 time point snapshot. We did a budget workshop with the County Commission in February, so I pulled this data then, pulled it again in July. So in May, or February, I'm sorry, Stallings sales ratio was 65.47%, residential. As of July, it creeped up to 68.19. It just means prices, whatever sales occurred in those 3 or 4 months, either some have been disqualified, which shifted the ratio, or the prices have come down slightly. Not enough to make a real difference, but there was a change in the ratio. So, but you're still 32% under market there as a whole.
That brings up a question that I know is even being discussed already in our neighborhood, and that is prices have been trending down for houses that are selling. I mean, that's just the truth of where we're seeing it. So if you're using some of these numbers, it sounds like some people are gonna probably get a little shocked because they're probably gonna be higher than what they think it probably actually is at this point in time with the prices continuing to fall.
We have not seen a lot of movement now. Slight in different pockets.
Okay.
But overall, for the county, it's pretty stable where it's been shelving for the last year. There is going to be some sticker shock. People to understand is this is only one piece of the process. We only set the value. It's up to the various elected councils and commissions to set the tax rate. Because we do not set taxes at any level of this process. Our job is to reflect the market and the valuation. And we will continue to monitor the sales data through the end of this year, to make sure we're not seeing significant shifts. But there's an appeals process. And if they've got valid data, our staff is very qualified, very friendly, and we'll work with people to settle those appeals as needed.
Second question that is going to come up when I say those words to people. what do you consider significant versus all these numbers? That 5%, 10%?
From what's increased.
Yeah, or decrease?
What I can tell you, the county as a whole, and you're kind of in line with the county numbers, we're looking at 50 to 60% as a whole. That's not bad. There's gonna be some areas that are higher than that. There'll be some that are lower than that. But when you're looking at 112,000 properties as a whole, you're looking at that. We've got to bring everything in line. This is just a snapshot from the last 4 fiscal years of the county's overall valuation on tax base. You can see during that time, we've all heard the discussion, we're still hanging around in that 88, 89% residential rate. Now, ideally, you want that to be 60. But that's not the world that we live in. So we are more of a bedroom community. We do have a lot of inventory here, a lot of solid inventory, but it's not at the level that we would all like it at this moment. So what's contributed to this shift in the market? Obviously, Charlotte metro area is a high growth area. There's a destination area, particularly in Union County, because of the less restrictions here than other areas. Housing supply and demand is still an issue. There's still supply chain issues that are impacting prices. Inflation, cost of construction materials, and then of course interest rates. All of that. This is part of our public information campaign. We will go to every municipality once, if not twice, with various civic groups, media interviews, and then we've got dedicated pages on social media presence. And so we really try to push the information out and make sure that everybody's aware of this. I'll touch on tax relief for a moment. Our biggest tax relief program, other outside of the permanent use value program, which is the farm use preservation program under state statute, is the elderly disabled exclusion. You see the requirements to qualify. The biggest is the age, of course, the income limit. That is the biggest hurdle for people to get over. We do not set that. That is set by the Department of Revenue under the guidelines as required by state statute. We have been working to change that. So far, we have not been able. You say you're on the legislative bills committee for the League of Municipalities.
Bill, that's something I'm going
We
to
have
add.
made efforts for 2 years to increase that income limit. The hurdles we're running into is a uniformity clause in the state constitution. There have already been exceptions made to that uniformity clause, but they want to prevent us from making changes with this due to that same clause. So we feel like it's not justified to use that as the roadblock for this. Next slide, I'll show you what we were looking to do. So we were looking to tie the income limit to 60% HUD AMI for a single family household. To bring that 1 or 2 person household up to 41,880 or 47,880 based on the number of people in the household. Currently, we've got one number, that 37.9. If you and your spouse are both on Social Security and you make $500 more than that weekend, which is not a lot of money for 2 people. And so that's why we're making a push. I'm on the legislative committee for the state assessors and collectors association, and we are trying to figure out a way to maneuver this to general assembly. They get either 25,000 off their assessed value or 50%, whichever is greater. So if you've got a retiree that qualifies, that could be a significant discount for them. If they've been living in their house in a prime area for 20 years, it's obviously escalated. You could have a $200,000 value instead of a $400,000 assessed value. Circuit breaker program, which is tied to income and age as well. It's a significantly higher income limit. However, the catch there is it's a deferred tax. And so if you pass away, your descendants are then stuck with paying pass-through property taxes with interest. Disabled veterans, if you're 100% disabled, declared by the VA, you get a $45,000 exclusion from the property value. Didn't make it 2 minutes.
Oh, we were gonna give you as much as you needed.
Appreciate that.
3 minutes.
But the three of the major categories up there are residential, commercial, and industrial, but what about farm? What about I'm sure we have way more farm acreage than we do anything else.
Generally, that is classified as rural residential. So that is wrapped up into that. What I will tell you is roughly slightly under 50% of our total acreage in the county is actually still in the PUD program. That is the farm, program that allows, that is roughly $2 billion, slightly under $2 billion value. It's not taxed because it's currently being used as farmland or forestry management. That is a significant, it's roughly a 95% exclusion of village property.
That unique to North Carolina or Union County or? Questions, council?
Question, I found it interesting that you cared about the percentage residential versus commercial versus industrial. We care about that. In fact, we've got a whole council policy on bringing ours, which is 88-12-ish to 80-20 by 2030-ish. That's how we West West Disney's Park transit, the hospital development, community sewer capacity for a commercial. You don't really need a residential. I know the county commission is limited on some of the statutory things they want that conversation to happen. I'm curious, does that matter to you? It doesn't matter to you, though. It's just a point of information.
I think for us, it doesn't matter technically, no.
Well, I'm just curious why that was, I found that very interesting that you brought that up. Was that something that would?
It's more stable tax base. Residential is highly volatile.
From a collection standpoint?
All of it.
Okay.
So if the economy takes a major downturn, you may run into a lot of residential homeless. They lose their jobs, they laid off. We dealt with that in 2012, from 2010 through 2012. It does move more difficult. There are tools that we have that we use in sparingly. There's some that we use on a daily basis. There are others that we're able to live with. Our approach is, again, treat everybody equal. Be as proactive as possible. That diversification in the tax base is critical, both in the county and in the size. Now, I've been here long enough. I've seen a lot of growth. I've been here 20 years. I remember when I first moved, Autolux on 74 that was there. So it's just, again, it's more about the stabilization.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you pointed that out. It's always so good reference.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
We'll see you early next year.
All right, thank you.
When do these show up in mailboxes again?
We will mail to the individual property owners late February, early March.
Give us elected officials time to. Next up is the, add the text. Yes. Turn this over to Alex.
Great.
Or Aaron.
Yes, sir. So each year, the county collects the taxes for the town of Stallings. There was a time, a number of years ago, but not too long ago, where the town collected our own taxes.
12 years ago.
Thank you. And what we found is that due to economies of scale, the county can collect the taxes more effectively and more efficiently at a lower cost. Our tax collection rate remains in the high 99%. And at the same time, I noted a year or two ago, the tax assessor's office actually came back and reduced the cost to us because they've gotten more efficient essentially in their collection. So we recommend that the town council approve the
All in favor?
Aye. But only 2 minutes next time, though.
I can keep it 30 seconds.
All right, next up, Union County Crestwind Development, Max.
Council? I'm gonna grab the keyboard. Yeah, so feedback or a position on the development. So a few months ago, I brought this, Union County requested a council position on this Crestman development, which is, at the time, I think it had a little bit more units. I think it was like 737 units. Council did not make a formal position at that time. So, a few weeks ago, Union County Planning reached out, again, to request a formal position from council before they do a staff report for a community meeting. They do not have any dates set in for a community meeting or planning board or anything like that, but they did want to request a position. This development is a quarter of a mile north of Stallings, unincorporated Union County, close to Emerald Lake subdivision. And it has 727, it's proposed to be 727 55 and up single family lot subdivision. And it has its own sewer capacity, which can be approved without Union County's sewer, water and sewer. They would be responsible for it. And staff had some concerns based on traffic, connections, floodplain services like police, fire, and things like that. And their view is similar concerns. But there are still no dates for the next upcoming meetings. But we were asked for a position tonight, or I am asking if council wants to add any additional concerns or make it a full position just as the request from the county. I'll show you where it is just real quick again. Everything in pink is Stallings. Fairview is this large yellow jurisdiction, and this is the proposed Crestwind development.
How close is that to 218?
This is 218 off of Dutton Hill.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's the property up there.
Yeah, so it will have a entrance. I'll show you where the site plan will be.
That golf course is Old Sick, right? That's correct.
Sorry.
Golf course just off to the left of it is Old Sick.
So I'm not familiar with where the golf course is, but Emerald Lake is 0.25 miles south of this development.
Why hasn't the other town tried to annex?
I don't want to speak for Fairview, but I don't believe they want to annex any additional land. As far from my conversations with Fairview, but I don't know for sure. I haven't talked to any of their elected officials or anything like that. Seems like the board is on good. Yeah, and this is the proposed development site plan that was included in the memo package. It has two entrances and a floodplain and 727 lots for 55 and up.
Gated too, wasn't it?
According to the site plan, I don't see a gate, but I originally talked to them months ago and I thought it was gated. But I don't see any gate in the memo.
Sewer, private sewer plant worries me
Where would that be located on this site plan?
because I have good experience. That upper,
This portion over here. I don't think it's fully, the site plan even shows where this sits for that sewer capacity.
black line down that left to right or right, is it horizontal line? Grove-ish.
Where's Mill Grove? I don't know how we can give an opinion about like what we want them to do, or there's just not enough information. A bunch of lots is, we don't know anything about, like, the roads are like country roads, it's not like you can widen, maybe you can widen them, I shouldn't say that, but there's just so much there that, environmental issues that we have no idea what's going on. So how are they gonna have um, what are they having, a community meeting?
Sometime in November.
But-
I'm sure of their process, but I believe they'll at least be required to have a community meeting.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't even know how you can have a community meeting with so little information, or, I'm not sure what we're supposed to be, like a formal position. What does that mean?
Essentially, a couple months ago, we were asked to do a similar parcel that was outside of Stallings, but almost, it looks to me, if I'm looking at this right, it's adjacent to the lower end of that project. What that, south. Was it the auto? Yeah, that's it. And it was down, yep, right in there. Yeah. That one directly affected our town residents across the street there. Are a little bit further away, other than a sewer package plan or whatever they call it, that is untested.
I don't know if we could advance the item. I'm with you. It's kind of odd
Yeah.
that we're asking for, but I get it. So their process is to get some, and I think it's maybe a nice thing. They're asking for locals. I could see us complaining if they approved it and didn't come to us. It's not our jurisdiction. So I think you scrolled quickly, but if I understand it, our staff have identified traffic as a concern. I would think that's fair to give that to the county. One full entrance and one right in, right out. That makes sense. I'd put that on the list. Is there another access? So roads, I think the other thing I think you mentioned was liability and long-term capacity of a private sewer package. Will there be odors? We've got experience with that in our town. So what can the county do to provide Fairview and Stallings assurance that they'll be on top of the house before the meeting, by the way. Walk out their front door, you smell sewage. I think that's a problem the county's working on, by the way, not maybe a package plant, but part of that development heritage, whatever it's called. It's a terrible smell, and you know this. So those are the two things I think. What else did you have? Police services, secondary police services. Do we provide secondary police services outside of our community? Fair to put that on the list. I'm just saying, you probably hit the highlights because you guys are the professionals. I would echo those and just pass them on to the county. They're smart enough to figure it out as well. I'm in an odd spot too. I don't want to annex it even if we could. I think annexing residential is a bad policy move in general, long term. So I'm happy that they're not coming into the town personally.
Feels like it's in the town, you know, it's so close.
Because it's so big.
And if so, can we have those roads built to the town of Stallings standards? The question would be, if we get an annexation request in a decade, because the gap has closed and now they're eligible, surely be a lot nicer to maintain roads that are built to some really nice standard. I don't know what the standard is, but I assume it's ours, but is it? Yeah.
That it could be possibly adopted in the future. Here's,
I was just gonna say, remember though, annexation can only be voluntary. And in a decade,
they'll be
every
individual.
single parcel owner would have to agree to be annexed. So annexation would honestly kind of be now or never before it's developed.
Okay, fair.
So Alex and I talked about this earlier, and I'm not sure if this is even relevant in this or not. So we had talked about it being a 55 and plus community. And generally speaking, I'm not sure how that works. So what if someone that wasn't 55 or plus wanted to live in that community? You have to be 55 or older to reside in that community.
Probably one person, you know, if it's a couple, one of the couple.
Talked-
planning and zoning
But isn't there a difference whether or not it's just marketed as a 55-plus community versus whether it is regulated, right? So it may just be marketed as that, and just because they're marketing doesn't mean that they won't sell it to a 25-year-old couple with.
And that was something that I brought up with Alex too. I'm just concerned about the volume of the community and how many houses are in this community. And we already have communities that are marketed to 55 and plus that I feel like we have an adequate amount in Union County as a whole. And so Alex had brought up a point as well. What if someone needed housing and they didn't meet that age requirement? So that was just a general question. I don't know. I'm 35.
Sometimes they get tax credits, like federal tax credits,
what
and
Alex was saying.
absolutely have to be, you know, it's not just a marketing thing, you absolutely have to. You know, we just don't know anything about this. So what, so
I think. Fair statement? There's a lot of negatives to this way more negatives than positives and unknowns. We're not the ones going to make the decision, but between all the issues we've mentioned on private sewer plant, we've had terrible experience with Aqua over the years. It doesn't, even if they wanted us to annex it, if we were eligible to annex it, I'm not sure, I wouldn't be voting for it. Private sewer plant, so we're okay with a consensus on that? Not, based on what we have,
Unfavorable.
we are not favorable, but we don't have enough to make a formal position, like, no way. But there's enough negatives that we're all, nobody's gotta do this, no, or they gotta do this, no.
Kind of just being quiet, but at one point you said that it's being built, a lot of that land is in floodplain, or? Lesson on that one there. And, it sort of goes back to what Brad was saying, I believe, about the roads, but I think back to what David was saying, that would be another, no, we're not in favor of something because we.
Property line's right on the floodplain.
Right on. Well, I mean, that's probably the legal.
Yes,
Yeah. So,
Or- Bridge is a pretty good jaunt from there, right?
not too bad. Actually, Mint Hill's probably closer.
Okay. That's just a lot of.
I assume they're also taking this to Mint Hill. Thank you, Max.
so if I may, Mayor Pro Tem, just to summarize, since there's not a vote and there's not a motion, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page, and we've captured all the concerns. So the consensus is based on what we know now. The council is not supportive, but don't have enough information to make informed decision. The board sounded supportive of the points that the staff made in the memo, and added the following things, or emphasized the following things: building the roads to significant standards, concerned over whether this is age restricted versus age marketed. There would be a concern if it was age restricted, and emphasized concerns with the private sewer plant, and specifically issues with potential odor, and how would the county ensure that that wouldn't be an issue moving forward. Is that a fair summary of the conversation?
Well,
Council
also we don't know what's up there and all those, the big, beautiful forests, like environmental issues, other than the floodplain. I mean, in there and.
Great, thank you, Council Member Wadowitz. I've got concern over environmental and floodplain issues, too much unknown. Is that a fair summary? Okay. Anything else we missed? No. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Alex. All right, next up, Waste Connections Contract Extension. Aaron, you're on the.
So as you may recall, Our official contract with Waste Connections for this term, it will be up in June 30, 2025. So this coming summer. However, in our last contract extension, not the one we just did, but the previous one to that, it allowed for another 2-year extension. And the only thing we have to do to that is have both parties agree to do so. I did meet with Waste Connections. They are agreeable to keep all things as is, and they would like to execute the remaining 2 years. So we wanted to bring it to council and ask you if you also wanted to continue with the contract and execute the 2-year extension that is allowed.
Do you get a lot of complaints?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. We are actually, I was actually just telling the town manager this a couple weeks ago. The representative for our area, his name is Jake Cloninger. I'll give him a shout out from Waste Connections. He is extremely responsive to us as the administration here at the town. We all know things happen and a house gets missed here or there, but when there is an issue, he immediately contacts me or I can immediately contact him. His communication is superb. We've been very lucky to have him as our representative.
I haven't had a complaint or heard of a complaint in a long time. Price per house.
Mayor Pro Tem Shaw, while you, as the council, are also considering to approve that extension, we as staff would also like for you to consider giving us the go-ahead to begin discussing with Waste Connections a possible additional extension on the contract. We feel it's a very good working relationship, and we wanted just to discuss that with them to see if it might be a possibility for the future.
Aaron did a great job of explaining that. So we've got 2 2-year extensions left. And then, so what we would suggest is potentially adding another 2-year option. It doesn't guarantee that we have to exercise it, but it gives the town council at that point the option to exercise it. We feel there's no downside with requesting that. With your support, we'd like to have that conversation with them.
Is there a reason why we're only talking about potentially only one additional extension versus a couple, or is it just that's kind of protocol?
Certainly are open to those conversations. We just wanted the approval from you guys to start talking to them about these things. We definitely could come back with you with options that you can consider. The extension that we are working off of right now, actually in that extension, there was 2 2-year extensions. So there's things that can be worded in that manner if you're interested. But this, again, this would just be discussions and we can come back to you with options.
Okay, and I guess that's what I am 100% for the extension, but I'm also, I'd love to hear some other options there too. All right, well,
Make a motion.
yep, I was gonna make a motion to go ahead and approve the extension of contract for Waste Connections.
Direction to go ahead and begin talking about further
I
extensions.
think for that, if a town manager, as long as you're okay with it, just consensus for us to have those discussions and
Okay.
bring it back to you. It's fine.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Have the consensus too. Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna use my 2 minutes here.
You don't have to.
All right. What I want to do here is, within a stone's throw of this particular building, we here in Stallings have concrete companies who are packing their trucks full of concrete, and when they either turn or they start from a standstill, the concrete is slashing out of the back of the truck and spilling on the road. I've kind of went through, I've counted, I think, 12 different spills between here and the Monroe Road, Stallings Road crossing here. If you go a little farther out to the bypass and up to Chestnut, there's over 20 spills. My concern here is that this town has spent a lot of time and money We're having Potter and Pleasant Plains, kind of rebuilt. It's going to have brand new asphalt over there. I think the last thing that citizens want to see is big concrete spills. And for those that may not have noticed what I'm talking about, we've got patches over here on Monroe Road that are now over 3 inches thick of concrete in the middle of the road where it's sloshed out multiple times and it's just built up over time. So what I asked Alex about is whether or not we had, some options to pursue the concrete companies that allow this to happen, and he has informed me that we do have some options there. And the second thing I'm asking tonight for the council to kind of vote on is giving direction to council to send a form letter to some of the concrete companies that are local here, that we are going to start holding them responsible for these spills and potentially the cleanup, which is very expensive. And the thing here is that a lot of these spills are right here on Monroe Road, which we all know is in the process of, in 3 or 4 years, is going to get torn out and replaced. So this is kind of more starting to set the tone for maybe not today or tomorrow, but as we get these new intersections built, repaved, and looking nice, that these concrete companies don't come along and make them look like crap again. We've already had, I think, I counted 3 spills down here at the Monroe bypass in front of the hospital. So, and that's, fresh fresh blacktop. So that's kind of what I'm asking here tonight. So
What are you asking?
I'm asking that we direct the town staff to write up a letter to the local concrete companies. And I've kind of talked to Alex about the specifics, and he's kind of floating some ideas on what we can do to effectively let them know that this is happening and that we're going to start taking a tougher stance on legal options for us as they continue to let this occur. All right? All right. So with that, I'll make a motion to direct staff to write up a form letter to the local concrete companies to inform them of what's happening and that we intend to start taking a stiffer tone on legal actions against them as they occur in the future.
Before we move with that, ask our legal advisor, Melanie.
Could they be cited for littering?
And how do you, what you're asking for, Stephen, is a carte blanche letter sent to any company in the, who knows how big of a radius that,
There are some,
I don't know who's, there's within a stone's throw, I can't think of a one, but you know.
they believe it or not, we actually have quite a few within just a few.
But where? What
Wow.
are they? I'm not familiar with
Oh,
concrete companies.
Concrete Supply, Argos. There's one a little bit farther down the road. There is a dozen within just within 2 or 3 miles of here. So
I've never
yeah.
noticed it either, so.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that big,
Well, I mean, and not only is it messing up the roads, but it when it does hit the road, our citizens and other folks are driving through it. Yeah. So
So, motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
Do you
I
have an
think
answer to the question? You send a letter to all of them and
Yeah, I think the tone of the letter is more that this is a concern that we've noticed in our community. We're asking you to
Help us
please
clean
take
it.
special measures, right, to
Okay.
ensure that this doesn't happen, or,
all right. that
and talk
makes-
about whatever, whether it's civil penalties, criminal fines, whatever enforcement mechanism we want to use if it happens again? Kind of almost like a warning letter. Is that what
Yeah,
you're thinking?
Yeah, the idea here is that the damage,
Tone that's more like, hey, help us keep our town looking nice before we get to the spotters on the street corners watching. Have a nicer tone than that and just say, hey, we've noticed the concrete spills. You're one of our, valued businesses. We appreciate your business in our town, but
the,
keep it clean.
yeah, the idea here is that, again, we're gonna have two very nice pieces of road within our town. That one of those we've spent a lot of time and money on.
Yep.
One of these is gonna be a very big thoroughfare. And the idea would be is that if we don't do something to try to stop it, then it's just gonna continue after we get a very nice road system through here. And that's what we're trying to prevent, is to try to start changing the mentality, if you will, over time. That's all.
I just suggest we do it. First one be a nice thanks, keep it, help us keep our town clean. And then
That,
we really need to have some teeth.
right, we've talked about the tone is gonna be critical. It doesn't need to be a gentle hand, but at the same token, it doesn't need to be a viper's hand either, so.
All right, second by Brad, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
All right.
Thank you. All right, now the next item is a closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3. Recess into a closed session.
To go into closed session pursuant to statute NCGS 143-3.18.11A3 and invite Kevin Parker, Town Engineer, to join us. Second.
Second, all in favor?
Come
Aye.
from maybe eating either.